The Flash 754, Joshua Williamson writing with Rafa Sandoval on the art. I have to ask, Matt, I know you're going to read the end of this. Did you catch up for this particular issue?
I'm ashamed to say I did.
Yes.
I hate Paradox. I went back and I read that issue, and it pissed me off for the rest of my day at work. Not like legit pissed me off, but I'm trying to work thinking like, how the hell, Williamson, how the hell does this even work? With time travel, even in bad time travel movies, this wouldn't work. And I get it. It's a paradox.
I love the idea that that's so working. Just casually say it. He's like, "Goddamn paradox, Williamson.
Yeah, well,
what have you done?"
Good job they don't around.
Well, no. So with how it is now, school's canceled, but we're in our summertime maintenance portion of what I do, and so with this, the limit still going on, there's rules we have to be by. So most of us are working by ourselves. So I have a lot of time to think, and as I'm listening to different shows, my mind can wander after I read an issue of The Flash. So yeah, man. That said, the longer the art goes, the more I don't mind it, because we're getting less of Paradox.
I'm just mopping a big hall every so often, been like, goddamn Paradox.
Swap mopping for shampooing carpets, and you're dead right.
Close enough.
Yeah. So that said, I don't like. I like his take on Reverse Flash and how I can't remember what issue because I read them all back to back.
Sure.
Was it this issue, Pete, where he talked about the mini deaths of Eobard Thawne? Or was that the last one?
That was the last one where we sort of went through that. That was the bulk of the issue.
I'll touch on that real quick. That I do like that it seems like these are Thawnes from different points in time, right? And that plays into whatever Paradox's stupid plan is. God, that character's stupid.
Well, to sort of give an idea of what this issue is, though, so there's a scene at the start that shows the 25th century where Reverse Flash beat Paradox, and what I don't think I understood actually from before that surprised me is that like Thawne already knows he's beaten Paradox already, which is weird. I expected this to be a Thawne before he fought Paradox, so he was going to be surprised that Barry would come to him for help, but he already knows he's done this, so he's mad that he's out. So I've got a question here. So did they go to the Flash Museum to get his staff, the lightning rod?
Right.
I have a question. So once they start fighting and bickering, Thawne and Barry, right? Once because we cut to Godspeed and Paradox, and they go after on the treadmill again to go find Barry and Thawne because he realizes that Barry's not alone anymore, and Thawne takes Barry back to earlier in the timeline, and he's going to basically kill Paradox before he becomes Paradox, much like he killed his Barry's mum. And of course Barry, when he realizes that's what his plan is, he's like, no, I'm not letting you do this. Like, this is horrible, this is awful, blah blah blah. And they start fighting. Now this may have been updated because I read this earlier on from Comixology, and they can update things later on.
Yeah.
So I'd be very curious to people who read the print version of this, if it even came out this week. That may have been one of the ones that was delayed earlier. I can't remember. But I'm positive that there's an entire page where all of the dialogue was swapped between Barry and Thawne. That it was coming from the wrong person.
Yes, it did that on mine. I read mine on Thursday.
Yep.
And it was still like that. So it wasn't updated yet.
Yeah.
But it was because I had to read that page 4 times to figure out if there was a miscoloring on the suits, if they misplaced the bubbles.
Well,
just a lettering mistake by the sounds of it. I imagine if it doesn't get fixed on Comixology, it will definitely be fixed for the trade.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty convinced it's the lettering rather than the, because I thought color as well. Maybe just the red and the yellow's been swapped by accident. It's not a big deal. But the symbols though, it's still the Reverse Flash symbol on his suit, so it's not like it's just coloring. So it was so confusing. I was reading this page and I'm like, wait, why does Thawne sound like he's saying that Barry's going too far? Like, why doesn't it make any sense? And then I was like, the dialogue's been swapped.
Not doing enough.
Yeah. It was so weird. It was so weird. And then Thawne yells out as Barry's punching him, "I never kill." Thawne, that's your thing. It's literally your thing.
That's your gimmick, bro. Like.
So this was obviously it's a mistake. It's not intentional, and it'll be fixed for later versions if it's not already fixed online. But
too hard against it, but usually they do, because I'll start a book and then it'll say there's an update
Yeah.
ready. And so I've seen that happen before.
I feel like
times.
this might take more work though, because it's an entire page of the bubbles being in the wrong place and whatever. Yeah. So. But yeah, I mean.
So. Yeah, it's not. So I'm not as upset the farther this goes, because now this feels more like the stuff from Williamson I do like, but I hate that every one of these big villains is this big hulking monstrosity.
Yeah, they've all looked really generically comic booky in a way that's just not satisfying.
Yeah, and at least when John's just bringing people in during his Wally run, like all these different villains, they were all unique. Like you had Tar Pit and Girder.
Yep.
And who was the guy that hated the sound of his voice? Anyways, Murmur. They all were unique and different, and I feel here like Turtle. And I know the Turtles existed before, but like I was just thinking of different ways that this paradox could have worked, and he doesn't have to be this big hulking monstrosity. He could just be because to me his relationship with Barry is the scientific one, right? Where they both got their powers at the same time because he was studying the multiverse and whatnot.
Paradox could literally just look like a dude. He doesn't have to have a look at all in terms of like super villainy, right? But for some reason he looks like Darkseid with a red cape, and I don't know why, but he does.
Yeah.
And
you could just give him the red cape and be like, that'll do.
Right.
Yeah, if you want, I suppose.
And just his plan of going back and creating paradoxes to absorb more power.
Yeah.
Like, what's the end game for him having more power?
It's just so he can.
I'm not sure.
Ruin everything, or the Flash can't beat him at that point. But anyway,
but it's not like he's trying to get back to his family, like as a because I thought that's where it was going, as a tragic figure.
Well, I mean, it's just to explain what actually happens here is, Paradox comes back, shows up when they're trying to kill like him as a human before he became Paradox, and surprises everyone by just killing himself, and goes, "Hey, this is the ultimate paradox, me just killing myself before I became Paradox." So, and then he gets so overloaded with power from this that he starts to just decimate like the entire multiverse, the entire reality just starts to white light, and the big cliffhanger is that he's wiping everything, and Barry and Thawne are like, "Shit, we have to work together now, and we have to think of this, or this is literally the end of everything." So it ends in this kind of we're doomed kind of moment.
Yeah, I kind of did like that, him killing himself, creating a paradox. I still hate that it just amps him up more. But I like it story-wise. But if this doesn't lead to a legion of speedsters coming out of the Speed Force, because that was a big thing I picked up on too, catching up on all of these that I'd missed, was that it seems like the Speed Force is intrinsically tied to the multiverse. Almost like it's like a river that services all of them. So if we don't get some payoff from like his, Flash of the Future and all of these different stuff coming to stop Paradox, which in its turn is a paradox, I'm going to be a little bit disappointed because it's right there. It's on the table. If I can figure it out,
I mean, honestly, the issue was easy enough to... outside of that one page where all the dialogue was swapped.
Yeah.
It was an easy enough read. It looks decent enough. Like, there's not a lot of complaints as far as comic construction goes. It's mostly just being kind of out of the plot and just not being super invested in what it's doing.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. There.
It's we're limping to the finish line. Let's just call it what it is. We're limping
I will
to the
say
finish line.
that this is the since 750. This is probably, I would say, the best issue that I've read. So the further we're getting away from Paradox as a concept, I think the better. So whatever Williamson has, I kind of trust him. Although that said, I haven't really. I have the last arc of Birthright to go, and he really didn't stick the landing on Nailbiter. Although that said, there's a sequel coming out, so maybe that was the point of Nailbiter. So who knows? I am hopeful, though.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, what are you rating this issue, Matt?
I'm going to give this a 7.5. Just, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I was going to. Coming off of those other two, I was like, oh, get ready. And it didn't happen, and I kind of enjoyed it.
That was surprisingly positive, given the conversation. I will... maybe give it a 6, 5.5 maybe more, kind of in that middling range.
I think if I was week to week like you were with this one, or issue to issue, might have been impacted a little bit, but because it wasn't as bad as the ones that I read before, then it was fine. But yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, we're limping towards the finish now in September, and then we get a new Flash run from someone. So,
Yep.
be exciting to see how that shapes up.